Hello, everyone. Well, yesterday I shared a short video about guns and my own experience and why we need to stand strong against this gun ban. Anyways, you can listen to that another time. But today I want to share a letter that I read this morning. It touched my heart, and I think it should wake us up in Canada. We need to listen to this carefully. So I'm reading it verbatim. And yes, so the man's name is Olga Vrubikov, and this is his story. I remember I was born and raised in the USSR. It wasn't until my early 30s I moved to Canada. Looking around me now, I feel the most powerful sense of deja vu I've ever felt. Economic collapse. During the fall of the Soviet Union, I was a young man with a wife and a small son. I see Mr. Trudeau now making his addresses to the Canadian public, and all I see is Mikhail Gorbachev. The leader of the USSR revolution always had a smiling face and presented himself to be good for everyone. Oh my, how sweet he was. Sharing this chapter of my life is not easy for me. It is a chapter of my life I would prefer to close the book on forever. But I'm watching this COVID-19 pandemic unfold before my eyes. I suspect most Canadians do not fully grasp what economic collapse really means. In 1990, we believed what was coming was best for us. We had no idea. We all trusted Gorbachev before the fall. I remember. Russian currency lost value. Store shelves became empty within a few days. What food did appear was too expensive for the average person to buy. 1 kilogram of sausage cost half a month's salary. Good people were forced to become common criminals in order to feed their families. Imagine having to break the windows of a warehouse during the night to steal a bag of potatoes. Forget about eggs, margarine, or meat, just potatoes. People working in factories received products from the factory instead of salary. Imagine trying to sell these products on the street. Imagine going to sea for 4 months and getting paid in fish at the end of the day, if we were lucky. Yes, we could eat fish, but what about our other needs? And it was common for most sailors to have to wait 6 to 12 months for their compensation of fish. And imagine having to carry a knife with you when walking on the streets because crime was so rampant. People were desperate. During this time, refugees were running from Russia in droves. I lived this. Teachers with not enough salary from government-run schools to survive were forced into prostitution in neighboring countries in order to have enough money to feed and support their children. Am I exaggerating? I wish I was. For my age, I have seen and experienced a lot. My advice to you is that shutting down the economy is not the best for you or your family. I've lived through economic collapse once, and I will survive again. This is only the peak preview of what I expect to come if change does not happen quickly. Stand on guard, Canada. This is your country. It is possible to protect yourself and keep businesses and industries open at the same time. Canada does not have the financial means to replace the private sector for 4 months, much less 18 months. Trust me, this is leading to disaster. It's your choice. But it's time to reach out to your MPs and ask them to stop this now. What a letter. Well, I want to echo what he's saying. And I want to say to you that it's time to exercise your influence in Canada. You are Canadian. We are Canadian. So how do you exercise your influence? Well, you're not going to maybe like this. And I want to speak particularly to the church and especially to pastors. Pastors see politics as potentially divisive. I get it. They don't want to see people in their congregation kind of challenge one another and argue and debate. They want peace. But peace at any price? We must engage, and it is essential for you as pastors and leaders to find a way to do that. And it has to start with the leadership in your churches. You must have the conversation with your leadership. You must dialogue. You must talk about what is happening. And you must have a course of action. And so that dialogue needs to then lead to a process that isn't too narrow. Because yes, we need to be bipartisan. But you can do that and still have these conversations. This is where the 4 pillars of the National Leadership Briefing come in. So I'm going to share those with you now. If you have not engaged with National Leadership Briefing, now is your time. You need to do this immediately. The briefing is essential. And why? Well, the 4 pillars that it's based on are these: that parents have the right to raise their children as they want to, and that parents have the final authority, not the government. That's pillar 1. The second one is that we deserve, and our Constitution says, that we have freedom of religion and belief. So you want to elect someone who stands for those values. The third pillar is that laws and policies of government must protect the most vulnerable among us, from the youngest to the oldest. And then it is inappropriate, this is number 4, for civil government to heap debt on the lives of its citizens and the next generation. So what you will find on National Leadership Briefing is that you can use these pillars to help determine with your congregation. They can individually determine. No one tells anyone how to vote. You encourage your congregation to get on board and pick up the pace to change what's happening in Canada. So these 4 pillars will help you determine who's the best candidate in your area, in your riding. Does your candidate stay to these 4 pillars? And if he or she does, what does he actually believe about them? You must listen, first of all, though, to National Leadership Briefing, because it's essential to get a whole grasp of this. I'm only giving a little portion. And that's on nlb.ca, National Leadership Briefing. You can just Google it. The Conservative Leadership Party vote is coming soon. We don't exactly know when. And I'm not saying you have to vote Conservative in the general election. But what I'm saying is there is a leadership race happening right now in Canada with the Conservative Party. And you can have a voice of who might win that race. And I want to tell you, pastors, there are 2 Christians running right now who are standing strong. That's Derek Sloan and Leslie Lewis. Get on board, educate your people. We have a voice. We need to have a voice, and our rights and freedoms as well need to be protected. So the Conservative Party leadership vote is coming up, and in order for you to vote, you must have a party membership. It costs all of $15. You need to buy the membership, and that means you can vote who you want in to run as the Conservative leader against Justin Trudeau. And if you're liberal, find a candidate, find out if your candidate in your riding supports the 4 pillars. I'm not telling you how to vote, but we're talking about a leadership race here. So buy the membership, but you have to get it by May 15th. That is very soon. So you go to donate.conservative.ca/membership, and I'll put that on a slide at the very end of this. Join the party. It costs $15. Have a voice. Educate your people. Let's turn this thing around. Thank you so much for listening.